Hi, it's Karen from PortPrep, and today we're going to talk with a couple of students that have been accepted to their animation colleges of their dreams. So we've got Michelle here today, and Michelle, you applied to Sheridan Animation, and you're currently living in the States, and that makes it that much more challenging to get accepted because so you're considered an international student, and they expect, I guess, a higher average on your portfolio evaluation. So that makes it that much harder to get accepted. So today, what we want to do with you and McKenna, a friend of yours, is going to join us. We want to kind of get some advice of what is it like, what's that journey like for you, and what did it take for you to get accepted? And so McKenna, your friend, he got accepted to CalArts, right?
Yeah.
And you really wanted to go to Sheridan, and they both look for similar things but different things too. So that'll give students some insights into what to expect and some great tips from you guys, just to hear a little bit about your story. So Michelle, thanks for joining us and sharing a few tips with the students. Yeah, I guess it'd be interesting just to hear a little bit about your story. Like, have you applied more than once? Like, how long were you working on this portfolio, and what was that like, having to get that higher average on the evaluation?
Yeah. So I graduated high school in 2015. I did 2 years of community college for fine art. My final year there, I applied my first time, and I think I got like a 64 or something my first time around. This is pretty rough. Yeah, so then I took a year off from college entirely, worked on my own, got a little bit of feedback from some other people, some students, and I think some previous students. And I got an 86 the previous year, which would have got me in if I was Canadian, but internationally, the cutoff for me was 90. So I was 4 points shy of the cutoff to get in last year. So I almost went to a different school, but because I was so close to getting in, I was like, I know if I just try one more year, I know I can get a few more points and get myself in. And that was part of the reason why I wanted you guys, because you're familiar with what Sheridan is looking for, whereas a lot of people around my area don't really know anything about like animation and stuff. I mean, there's like really good painters and all here, but no like technical illustrators that I really know of. Because I know Sheridan wants pretty polished work, and they want it to be really structurally sound. So then I applied this year with your help. I also actually got some help from some other students, and I reached out to Steven Silver and I got some advice from him on some one-on-one meetings. And this year I got in with a score of 94.
Wow, that's fantastic. Wow, congratulations. How does that feel?
Pretty exciting. I was also just like a little relieved because, it was my third time. I was like, I can't do this forever. I was like, for me, this is the last time I'm applying. If I don't get in this year, I'm going to have to do something else. And now I'm just a little bit, I'm excited and I'm nervous to start for the same reasons. Like, the school year is almost here.
Yeah.
I'm moving in late August. I'm going to be meeting a lot of people, which is going to be nice because I'm going to meet a lot of great artists. It's going to be a really energizing environment for me, especially because I've never really been able to focus solely on my artwork. It's always been something I had to make time for, so it's going to be really nice to be able to just focus on that.
Yeah, so now that you're just telling us a little bit about your portfolio, maybe while you're telling us some other things, I could show you some of what you sent me. And you also said there's that you posted some stuff on a website of yours too, right?
Yeah, so I posted my entire portfolio and my score sheet on Tumblr. So I have like that blog, so anyone that just wants to casually
Want to
look
just go
through
grab
that.
that then?
Huh?
Yeah. Or do you want to grab that or send me the link so I can pull it up?
Oh, I see there's a chat box here,
There's a chat
sure.
box here, yeah.
Yeah, I've never
Put it in there.
used Zoom before, I think.
Oh, what did
Um,
you and Garth use for your lessons then?
we used Skype, I
Oh,
think.
you Skyped. Okay, and then he just recorded them on his software.
Yeah, I
So
think, unless I'm misremembering. All right, I sent
I'm gonna
that.
open that. Yeah, so we're mentioning Garth and okay, so I gotta go do a screen share on this. Oh, I thought you had used this with him. Um,
Maybe we use it. It's been so long. I don't remember using Zoom.
so I'm just gonna go to, why did I just open that? Shoot. Shoot. Oh, there it was. And there it's gone. Where is it? There it is. All right. So, yeah, so you're mentioning Garth. So Garth is our animation teacher. And you pretty much only worked with him. I don't think you and I ended up working together.
No, yeah, I only worked with Garth.
Yeah, you didn't really need my help. So it's a little bit blurry, but figure drawing, 10 out of 10. Hand drawing, 10 out of 10. Look at these marks. Character rotation, 15 out of 15. Short animation, 15 out of 15. Wow. I don't think you'll need to be nervous at all about going to school. You're going to do great.
Yeah,
Yeah, we were
yeah,
so impressed by your work. Like you said, when you came to us, your work was already so polished, so good. It just needed that extra something. So what do you think how did Garth help you with that extra something? What was it, do you think, that made the difference? Like if you look at this year's valuation versus next year's, where were your marks lower last year?
I actually lost at least 1 point in every section across the board.
Hmm.
And actually, my storyboarding score went down this year. I think last year I had like a 22. So I'm like, I guess I don't really understand storyboarding very well.
Hmm.
But um, he was mostly helpful. I mean, he helped me with the timing of my animation a little bit. Um, he was usually pretty impressed by my figure drawing, but he did point out some proportion errors that I didn't realize I was making sometimes. Like I remember I was making the heads a little too big.
Yeah,
Um,
I remember telling you
yeah,
that.
yeah. And then he really liked my hand drawings. He only had like tiny little suggestions. Like on my second hand drawing, he said the pinky didn't look natural, so I fixed that. Um,
Mhm.
yeah. So
And
yeah, those are pretty easy for me. The character rotation was a little more difficult. I redid that a lot of times, and I had a hard time picking a design for that. But mostly, I would just redo it and then have him look over it, and he would give me suggestions for things that I could change. Sometimes I would take a suggestion, sometimes I wouldn't.
mhm,
Um, but yeah, it was just helpful having like a second opinion
mhm.
that.
So, yeah, so
Yeah.
I wonder, do you have any before and afters, or you're talking like the differences of having Garth's instruction in your case, because you're already such a really skilled student. Um, are the differences small? But I remember you saying in an email you thought it was just that little bit that made that difference.
Yeah, the differences weren't really huge. A lot of the changes I made were just my own decisions. Um, And this one, he helped me, like, told me where to add a few more frames to make it look a little more believable.
Mhm.
Because I was trying to show a lot of the principles of animation that I understood with this, like
Mhm.
the squash and stretch and keeping everything the same mass, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Good. So that's a great idea. Now, there's a good tip
Hmm.
in doing a little animation. It's not just to show how things move, but that awareness, of principles. That's a good one for students to remember.
Yeah.
So it's just sort of the tweaking, minor adjusting that he helped you with then, and
Yeah.
having somebody to as that sounding board. Plus, maybe also just that one more year of practice. And I think that's something, a top takeaway for a lot of students listening to your story is that, you know, don't expect necessarily that you'll get in the first time you try, right? That it does take years of practice and learning. And like you said, you have to go somewhere to find the right information, that it's not necessarily available immediately in your area. You might have to look for the right kind of training, and just take time to build your skills, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's one thing you can't really underestimate, just putting in the hours.
Yeah. So how did you manage to spend all the time, like, to make all of this? Like, how long did this
See,
take?
the thing for me, I was just I mean, I tried to do it as early as possible so that I had the time to rework things,
Mhm.
because I wanted to have my portfolio finished before, well before the deadline, so that I could just keep working back into things until I felt they were perfect. I didn't want to be doing things last minute, because that's never when you're going to hand in your best work. And I wanted to be 100% sure I was sending in my best work. So I mean, that was another thing that I liked using you guys for, because it kind of helped give me deadlines, because I was like, I have to have something to show them.
Right.
So it kind of pushed me to make sure I had something to show you guys.
Yeah, that's one thing we've heard from other students and sometimes their parents, that just the fact of having regular lessons, having stuff ready, somebody to talk with about and evaluate what you've done, get some tips, and it also helps you think through it yourself and decide what you want to do with it, but it keeps you on track. And that in itself is valuable. So that, like, part of what we're doing is giving instruction and input. The other thing, it's coaching, right? And it's helping you complete a task. And my goodness, Garth is so good at that. Like, in his own work, he's
Yeah.
so disciplined. And that's what it takes. It takes a love of it and a determination and discipline and just doing the work.
Yeah, for sure.
What would you say was your greatest challenge in preparing a portfolio?
Um, probably just um probably just the character rotation. I feel like that was really the most challenging thing for me in the whole portfolio, because the life drawing was easy for me because I go to life drawing every week. I've been doing that for well over a year, almost two now. It's been very consistent, so I had a lot of life drawings to look at and pick through when I wanted to submit something. And I'm just pretty good at drawing from life, so the hand drawings weren't too difficult either. It was just really the character rotation, and the storyboard was a little stressful because that's just worth like a quarter of your grade that they give you. It's worth 25 points out of 100. So that's stressful in its own right. But I just had a hard time picking a design for the character and then just rotating it and having it look perfect by whatever standards you would consider perfect. You know, I wanted it to be as perfect as possible, because I'm like, I don't want to lose any points. And I just, every time I did it, I was like, I'd see like 10 things that look off. So I would just keep redoing it and redoing it. And eventually I got to the point where I was like, I really like this. I'm going to do it digitally. And if I want to tweak anything that way, it's digital. It'll be a lot easier to tweak instead of just redrawing the entire thing. Because I redrew the character rotation so many times. I redesigned the character plenty of times. That was just like, that was the biggest challenge if I had to say anything.
Yeah. So do you have any earlier versions you'd like to show us?
Let's see.
The other thing that would be cool to see is your previous portfolios. Do you have those?
Yeah, I actually have my previous year's portfolio on another blog. I could send that to you as well.
Sure. I think students would find that interesting. Yeah, I've heard a similar story to yours from other students. You know, and one of the themes that comes up from some of the successful students is that drawing it over and over again, doing several, not just get this portfolio piece done, it's done as if it's just this homework assignment. It's developing your best work and you know, maybe doing 5 or 10, whatever you feel you need to get to where, oh, I like that. I'm proud and happy that I think that's the caliber I need. And an interesting thing that we've had other students that have applied more than once, and what they've said is that, you know, it's interesting to watch your evaluation over the years. Like one of our students said he, you know, his first year, you know, he could see that his drawing skills weren't where they needed to be, but his story skills and the life and the character and the passion he put into it had, you know, really showed through. And then his second year, he was also focused on technical and drawing perfectly that it lost some of the life and story. And so the third time is like, okay, I gotta have, you know, story and expression and something that's unique and personal to me. Don't just be all stiff about, you know, trying to make perfect drawings. And he too made several drawings. So that's something that's good advice. So maybe you could, I mean, so maybe you just need the time you need to learn the skills.
I could definitely relate.
You could also say, oh yeah, I have to remember not to just get stiff. I have to be able to express myself and my stories and have life to my characters, right?
I remember when I first showed you my previous year's portfolio, you were saying it looked a little stiff and like I was really straining myself to, you know, make it look perfect, but it didn't really have a lot of story and all that kind of stuff to it.
Yeah, so I think that's probably a common experience.
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
But I found one of my previous editions of the character rotation. How would I share that?
So you hover your mouse to the bottom of the screen. There's a green share button.
Gotcha, I see that.
Yeah, click that. Your screens will pop up. You pick the screen you want to show. Or just pick your screen desktop, and then wherever you go, we'll see.
Gotcha. So this, I'm screen sharing right now, right?
Yes. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So this was a previous design that I did that was obviously, you could see errors.
Right.
But yeah, like I like the design, but I don't know. I liked rotating the other one better.
Yeah, there are a few errors, and even just her structure and stance. I like what she ended up doing with her body proportions and her legs. But yeah, like one of the hands appears too low.
Yeah, I see plenty of problems with it.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's a challenge. It really can help to get some advice, because this is a thing that's challenging, like, because you've got, you know, you have to have things line up, but you also have a little bit of perspective, right? And I know the perspective isn't as strong as sort of real observation is, but you still have to have some of that so it feels believable. Like this, this the ellipse that you're using. So the ellipse, if the ellipse is there in the torso and the skirt, it has to be there for the fingers, where the hands end, right? So you did a good job on the bow that way, right? How would the bow sit on her hair? Yeah. So how about that? Did you want to just go grab, since you're on screen share, do you want to just go grab your Tumblr portfolio?
Let me do that.
I wonder where McKenna is. Maybe you can text him. So you guys, were you in the same college?
We are actually a few years apart in age. He just graduated high school. We actually went to the same high school. He lives a couple minutes away from me. We found each other surprisingly at life drawing, because I monitor life drawing and he was showing up and I talked to him a little bit. Let's see here. Yes, this is all the links for my portfolio. So this is my score sheet from last year.
No, I'm not seeing that. So start the screen share again.
Oh, you can't. It's not sharing anymore.
So no, you must be on a different screen. So I think if you hover your mouse to the top of the screen, you can end screen share.
Gotcha.
And then start the screen share again.
I don't know what I'm doing. All right.
Yeah, I think it's just so helpful if you're a student working on your portfolio, just to see what other people have done, hear about their experiences. Be able to.
So can you see this now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you could see that, I'll read it. So like last year for figure drawing, I got 8 out of 10. Hand, I got 9 out of 10. My character rotation, I got 12 out of 15. My short animation, I got 13 out of 15. Storyboarding was 22 out of 25. Perspective line drawing was 14 out of 15. And my personal artwork was an 8 out of 10. Yeah.
So you improved on everything except there was an issue with your storyboard.
My storyboard went down. It's like I must not know what I'm doing. It's like a look of the drawing away. I don't know. So these were the life drawings I submitted last year.
Which and one of the good, but I can I can definitely see the improvement you've made.
Yeah, and I feel like one of the biggest things that honestly helped me is, I'm going to say, like, my tools, because this is rough newsprint, and when I made the leap over to smooth newsprint, which I didn't even realize was a thing, I feel like it just looks so much better. I really prefer using smooth newsprint. It makes everything look a lot nicer. This kind of looks rough compared to my other stuff. Also, of course, going and practicing all the time helped too, but I really prefer the smooth newsprint to the rough. I think it looks a lot better.
It's a little bit thicker?
What do you mean?
The paper itself is a bit thicker, I think. Like it's a heavier pound, like a heavier weight. So
I'm not sure.
As much, and then the tooth is a bit smoother.
Yeah, you're probably right. I'm not sure about the pound or anything. I just know the smooth is a lot nicer with the line quality.
Nice. That's a nice little tip.
Yeah.
I
really like using smooth.
And you took a life drawing course or went to a studio where you went to life drawing, right?
Yeah, so I actually was going to 2 different places, and luckily I was able to monitor at both of them. I live in Pennsylvania, and the one that I've been going to lately is in New Hope. It's the Bucks County Classical Arts Center. They have open life drawing on Wednesday nights, and it's a good amount of drive from where I am, like almost half an hour. So I thought it was kind of funny that I met Kenna there, and he's like a couple minutes away from me. I mean, it makes sense though, because we were both working on portfolio stuff. Of course, we'd both find the life drawing around us.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see how your hand anatomy and line work in your second portfolio is better. You still had some good qualities to it, but there's a few, yeah, that mostly the back of the hand and the first knuckle is the issue, and you know, but you still had good structure for sure. Yeah, and you have an understanding of object drawing, which is good. You know.
Yeah, and then I wrote a bit that year about what I did. So on all of these posts I did, I talk about my process. Then let's go to my character design from last year.
Are you open to sharing? Oh, I remember this. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. That's a cool character. I like that.
Yeah. It was pretty fun, but for some reason they didn't like it too much. I don't know. And then I had to make it really small for Tumblr, but that was my animation. Last year they wanted character animation, so I just did a girl walking. See if there we go. It's just lower quality, so Tumblr will play it. Yeah.
It's nice. I like how, you know, her hair moves, her skirt moves with the movement.
Yeah. And this I didn't really do anything digitally last year. This was all pencil, paper, and then I scanned it in and tried to line it up.
It'd be a bit of work, eh?
Yeah, that was a long process. I remember doing that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, obviously it's a big commitment to do this. And I think just seeing this really shows students how much they really need to practice, to get information, work at it. You know, and I can see that your choice to you know, to take some time to just work on this is, you know, primarily is really smart because, but you were studying in a fine art program and then also working on this, is that right?
The first year I applied, yeah, and my portfolio that year was not very good. I think like the community college fine arts experience didn't really help me for Sheridan and what they wanted. It was very different, the kind of work I was doing there.
Yeah, I've heard that before from other students that they think maybe if they study fine art first or, you know, try to get into a program, maybe that's not portfolio based. Like it really if you're going to take that route to say, I'm going to learn how to draw, like it helps to get training, but you have to choose the right kind of program that really focuses on drawing skill and understanding of structure and figure drawing. It's so different from fine art. I mean, fine art's wonderful, but it's a different thing than animation and illustration. Like if you can get more into an illustrative type of program or even go to a smaller sort of atelier type of school, you know, that focuses on those kinds of skills and where you can learn about perspective and things like that. I think it helps better than fine art. There's certainly some skills you can get from fine art that are useful. But I've had students go through an entire fine art degree and still can't draw, you know?
Well, I have my associate in
animation. You have to be able to draw.
But yeah, I felt like it was more of a distraction because I wanted to be working on my portfolio, and then I was worrying about grades because I was taking 4 classes each semester, and it was hard to do both at the same time because I was really trying to focus on doing the portfolio. So if I focus on one or the other was going to suffer. But yeah.
So what did you do the second year then?
These past 2 years I took off. I've just been working and doing portfolio in my free time.
So did it not work better for you then?
Yeah, because I was able to make the portfolio a lot more of a priority, you
Right.
know, because I wanted to have all the time that I could to spend on it and not be really tired or something when I'm working on it. I wanted to give it all of my effort.
Yeah. So I think it's important that if students need to develop their drawing skills, that they take a program that is intensive and they learn how to draw really well. Um,
Yeah,
and you get pushed when you're in a full-time program, but it has to be the kind of program that's developing the right kind of skills. I mean, that's why some
yeah.
people go to art fundamentals at Sheridan, for example. But you
Hmm.
can look around. If you look at whatever program maybe is close to home, that does have lots of drawing instruction, that does have life drawing, and it does have some perspective and object drawing, that where it's those kind of skill based, then it's a really good experience. Because, or take the time off, but you got to find the specific knowledge that
Hmm.
and training. And sometimes there's some really good sources online too, where you can learn. Like I
Yeah,
know
that's.
you mentioned
Mm-hmm.
Proco. Like Proco's amazing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then reaching out for help, like from us at PortPrep, and getting
Yeah.
specific tips. Like I help people with their perspective drawing and their drawing accuracy, like to be able to draw character, like just getting their drawing skills where they can get the exact proportions of what they're seeing, and
Yeah.
understanding the structure so that they can move that character. Like you got to learn it somehow. Now you really happen to just draw really well. You do.
Yeah.
So some people need a more educated, structured environment. Some people just need the time and the focus, which I think is what you mostly needed with just a bit of advice.
Yeah, because I remember when I was at community college, I was kind of like a star student in my art classes, but I like obviously it didn't mean much to me because when I applied to Sheridan, I got such a low score. I was like, I'm not really that good. um,
Well, it's
I,
different. It's a different kind of skill, right?
it's the skill that I wanted to learn though, and I just wasn't learning it at the community college that I went to. I personally, for me, I much prefer just one-on-one and learning on my own time because I can focus on what I want to focus on
Mhm.
instead of taking astronomy and then like
Yeah.
some art composition class where they just throw a bunch of stuff on a middle of the room and put a light on it and tell you to just have at it and don't really give you any instruction.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Like we're quite instruction based at Port Prep, because that we either what we're working on is helping students understand the structural approach to drawing, and then helping them understand how to convey and build like strong ideas, right? And just
yeah,
giving input and helping you develop you. Um,
yeah,
really different experience. One-on-one education is very different compared to a class environment. Some people
yeah,
that aren't as disciplined as you would benefit from being in a class environment.
yeah,
But you have
just
that kind of focus that you have, that's better to just get the advice where you need it and do the work. So that's a good tip to be aware of too.
yeah, because
Um,
I
what else?
mean, it could have just been the program I went to, but
Yeah,
when I
maybe.
was there, I wasn't really getting the one-on-one attention or even instruction that I was really looking for.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
but
you
yeah,
gotta research where to go.
this is my storyboard from last year that did better than this year. It was the same characters.
Hmm.
I don't know if they're gonna do the same thing again this upcoming year, but that was a little unusual. They had the same character
Yeah, that doesn't normally
models for
happen.
this year.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
really different
yeah,
every, so that was a bit odd.
yeah, yeah. So they had the same characters this year as last year, and last year I used both of them. Um, it's I don't know. I feel like I picked a cliche idea, but it worked.
Yeah, it's interesting to know why they thought. Anyway, is
Yeah,
there anything else you wanted to share from that?
yeah. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
Layout from last year. So last year was room layout. So I drew my boyfriend's bedroom last year. I had him sit there for me. Yeah, I did pretty good on this section. I got 14 out of 15. But obviously I've improved since then.
Yeah.
And this was the
Yeah,
outdoor.
there is definitely improvement from last year to this year. Yeah. And where did you learn your perspective drawing skills?
Trial and error, mostly.
Well,
You know,
you're visually very smart. Like, to do this well through trial and error. Like, a lot of people, they need instruction to understand what they're doing, but you're visually quite astute. You're going to have a wonderful time there.
Thanks. I'm really looking forward to it.
What are you most excited about for going to Sheridan Animation?
I honestly am most excited about, you know, all of the great artists there, from the teachers and my peers, and just getting critique from everybody. That's what I'm most excited about, because I'm like so starved for it here.
Good. Yeah, you'll love it. Yeah, I can see that you've got a lot of improvements in this final one, and I can see why you've got such a superb grade.
Yeah, because I wanted to be really confident when I put in my portfolio this year.
Yeah.
I definitely was. It made the month of waiting for results a lot easier.
Yeah. Well, we're very happy that we could assist you in your journey, and really glad that you're going to be going there. We love to hear back from you occasionally.
Yeah, of course.
And sometimes people will send us, I did this. So yeah, it's a great school, and it really prepares graduates for working in their field. And in fact, Garth said he's so busy that, you know, we're supposed to do a live Q&A on Sunday afternoon, and he's like, and I've been promoting it, and he's like, can we change that?
Oh no.
It's not done yet. So yeah.
Yeah, he seems like a pretty busy guy.
He is, and he's got that same kind of discipline you have, and you're gonna do great. I mean, he's been busy ever since he graduated, you know. And our concept artist, Anthony DiGiovanni, I mean, he works full time as a concept illustrator too, you know. It's great. One thing I love about our instructors, you know, that they, I find it inspiring to know that they are working artists in their fields, right? And like Garth went the traditional school way of going through a significant college. Anthony had, you know, some issues come up in his life where he couldn't go to college, so he only went for about, I think, 1 semester at Sheridan, and but he learned online. He still had education, but he did it online to get his skills. And he had that discipline that you've got. Do it again, study other people's work. What do they do that works? Okay, let me learn from that and do it. You know, he does a lot of he uses a lot of reference, you know, to make his work turn out well. And it's just that dedication to it. And he works absolutely full time, supports a family, you know, being an artist. I think it's amazing. So
yeah, it's definitely a feat
to know there's jobs at the other end of this. So this
that's what the parents are concerned about.
They're happy, you know, because artists won't be happy if they just go get a job.
Yeah.
General. Some people, though, say if they just want to do their personal art and they need time to build their portfolio and you know, build their career as artists, do find they sometimes like a job that isn't necessarily creatively involving, to just get some money, and then they focus on their free time, their art. I mean, that's another path until they get really moving in their career. You know, everybody's got a different way about it, but what I've seen in so many people you know, it's best to just go after what you know you love and build a life on that, because there is work out there and you can do it, you know. It's so, and it takes that dedication that you have. So it's exciting that you get to go. And I don't know what happened to McKenna.
He must be sleeping in.
I wonder. I might have
Yeah.
to, yeah, I don't know, try texting him, but you probably have to get going.
Yeah, I'm going to work soon.
So I'm gonna let you go, and maybe McKenna and I can talk another time. Do you still
Yeah.
talk with each other sometimes?
Yeah, we actually went out yesterday morning. There's a plein air group around here. A bunch of people meet up every Wednesday morning and go out and paint. So we've been carpooling and doing that, and we did that yesterday.
Awesome. You know, that's the kind of thing too, that just to make art part of your life, and
Mm-hmm.
how you and McKenna joined this figure drawing group and you drove to get there. I mean, that's what it takes. You've got to practice. So it's good to take a life drawing class and to get some knowledge, especially focus on anatomy. So important, especially for CalArts.
Yeah.
You got to understand what you're drawing if you're going to move people in space. It can't be just strictly observation, not for animation. You really got to understand how the body moves. So learning about anatomy is so important, learning about how the body moves. And then going to like an open life drawing, that's what you got to do regularly, consistently. How long would you say you were going to life drawing to get to the level that you're at now?
At least a year.
At least a year.
Yeah, I was going once, maybe twice a week.
Yeah, and I think that's really what it takes. And I've seen some younger people, they just don't realize how much effort they need to put into it.
Yeah, it was easy for me too because I was the monitor, so it was like I have to be there early every week, open up, set everything up, pay the model. I'm like, if I'm not there, it's not happening, so I have to be there.
That's good.
Not everyone can do that, but that's part of what made it so easy for me to not be like, I feel like sleeping in tonight. I'm like, no, I have to be there.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's a neat thing too. You know what I did? I was living in a small town once and we didn't have any figure drawing. So I made a figure drawing group, found artists, and we started our own group. I mean, Garth and his father started a group in our town, and they run it every week just out of their home.
Yeah, I was looking at his website and I saw that. And I'm like, that's probably going to be me one day too, because I just like figure drawing so much. If there's not one around me, I'm going to make it.
Yeah, like the group I started in my town, like at first we were a pretty small group, so we couldn't really afford a model because we also had to rent space. So we didn't have, like, Garth and his father used, they had to use their living room for a while. Now they have a space that's dedicated to it, but studio space for it, but still in their home, so it's affordable. So then everybody pays to chip in for the model. We had our space, so we just modeled for each other. We just took turns until their group got big enough that we could hire a model. So, if you don't have it, you can make it. Right? So there's no excuse. You can find a way to do what you want to do and make it work for you.
Yeah. Especially with the internet nowadays.
Oh, and there's so many learning opportunities and ways to reach out. And so, and you had a community online too, right? That you shared with.
What are you talking about?
You were sharing. You said you were sharing somehow online with people. Was it Facebook?
Oh yeah. There's a Facebook group for Sheridan Animation hopefuls. They make a new one every year. So anyone that's looking to apply, I think it would be Sheridan Animation Hopefuls 2020. If you look that up on Facebook, you can request to join the group and just see what everyone's saying and post your own work if you feel comfortable to have everyone critique it.
Great. That's great.
Yeah.
Good sharing. Anyway, thank you for your time. I'll let you get going.
All right. I hope you have a great day, and I hope we talk again soon.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, good luck to you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Okay. Bye.